This program is rated PG. It contains themes and scenes which may not be suitable for very young audiences. Parental guidance is advised.
Hello Philippines and hello world! Hi from San Jose Occidental Mindoro down to VSS W3A, 3B and 3C, and our ever supportive social work community education and training professor, Dr. Veneros D. Arcinilia. Good afternoon, ma'am. I'm your host, Christine Jane Quirol, and you are watching the Social Work Community Table. Everyone having a good day today? I know at times it can be hard to show up. But here's what I know about you. You want to make an impact, right? I say that because you could have been home sleeping, writing assignments, or doing anything else. But you chose to be here. And this moment deserves to be acknowledged. That's why I'm so proud of you for making it here. To listen, to learn, and to have the opportunity to raise a concern and provide solutions. So for today's segments, we will talk about various topics on how to design a training with the help of our guests that are on trend but will never come to an end, fresh from the pot that we will discuss on the spot. To begin the journey of knowledge, let us clap back on this clip of my twin sister, Ms. Christine Jane Quirol, a third-year social work student at Occidental Mindoro State College, as she discusses the first step in training processes, the training needs assessments, the training needs assessment tool, and the definition of training design. Roll VDR! Planning is the first step of the training management cycle. The planning stage is divided into two parts. The first one is the training needs assessment, or the TNA, and the second one is the training planning. Training needs assessment is the method of determining if a training need exists, and if it does, what training is required to fill the gap. As we design a training, the bottom line is that most organizations or the community's social workers design a training when they see a need. As there's a need, as there is a gap between the present status and the desired status that may indicate problems that, in turn, can be translated into a training need. May pangangailangan ba talaga ang community na to that pushes organizations to conduct a training? Kasi kung wala naman, they will not take their time and effort to create and implement a new program. That's why, as a trainer, it is important that we formulate a TNA tool because it seeks to accurately identify the levels of the present situations in the community through target surveys, interviews, observations, and the secondary data. So, let us take a look at the survey questionnaire. The first thing we need to do as trainers is to decide who our participants are by gathering information about their demographic profile such as their full name, age, sex, and contact number para kapag may need tayong information ay pwede natin sila makontak. As well as their highest educational attainment dahil mahalagang malaman natin as trainer kung ano ang natapos nila for us to be able to make adjustments. Let us assume na mayroon talagang lalabas na participants na hindi nakapag-aral in that community. That's why kailangan nating mag-adjust. Kung English ang ginamit mo sa mga instructions mo sa survey questionnaire na binigay mo sa kanila, o baka naman pwedeng Pilipino na lang para mas maintindihan nila. It is also important na malaman din ang kanilang monthly income. For example, if your participants are the fisher folk, magkano ba yung income nila sa isang buwan? Are their monthly incomes are enough to sustain their basic needs? Can we tie up with another organization for a livelihood program if applicable? We also need to know about the training attended. Ano na ba yung mga training na naka-attend na sila? Ano ba naging title ng training na ito? Baka naman kasi yung i-implement natin training ay same title sinauna. Kasi sa title pa lang ay malalaman mo na if the training they attended is for skills development or more information that was filled by previous trainers. So dapat, maiba naman kapag tayo na yung magkahandak ng training. Also, when is it conducted? Same date rin ba sa training schedule natin? Kung February na implement yung training, baka mas okay din na February tayo mag-conduct. Baka kasi sa buwan na ito ay doon lang sila lahat available. Especially kung ang mga fisher folks ang participants mo. Kasi sila yung mga taong may specific date lang ang pag-uwi sa kanilang family. Saka ilang oras ba ang naalat sa training na yan dati? Ilang oras lang ba sila naging available before? And lastly, who is the sponsoring agency? Is it DSW, di ba? May possibility ba na sila rin ang pwedeng mag-sponsor ng training na i-implement natin in that community? So, we must take note on that information. After nating malaman yung profile ng participants, we can also ask them, ano ba ang learning style nila? How do they learn best ba? Mas prefer ba nila kapag visual lang? O kaya naman through verbal? O baka hindi nila masyadong prefer kapag puro audio lang? Baka mas prefer nila kapag kinesthetic using their body, hands, and touch. Or baka mas okay sila sa audio-visual. So it is important that we are aware of their learning style. Dahil kung hindi, of course, hindi rin sila magbe-benefits from the learning sa makukuha nila sa training. Because some of the participants can learn through audio, but others not. So there is a possibility that they will have difficulty processing the information effectively. Therefore, from the TNA tool, we can already identify and assess the needs of the community. We can also identify the participants' current level of competency, skill, or knowledge in one or more areas. Because the more you know about your participants, the better you'll be able to teach them because you already know what their background is. So that's the beginning of preparing a training design because you already know how to fill the gap through creating and implementing a training. What is training design? Training design is the process of creating a blueprint. When we say blueprint, it is a design plan that you wish to put into action for the development of the training. It is systematic dahil dumadaan ito sa proseso. Hindi ka pwedeng mag-jump agad sa training implementation kung hindi mo pa nagagawa ang step 1, which is the TNA, or learning the needs of the participants. So that's why it is a detailed plan. Ano ba yung mga gagawin mo? Bakit mo ba ginagawa ang training na to? Ano ba ang purpose nito? And also, how will you do it? Paano mo ito gagawin? Ano ba yung dapat mauna munang process? Paano mo ba ipuput into action na nakalagay sa training design mo? So, you need to find the best ways, techniques, and methods to achieve your objectives. Kaya kung kinakailangan ay tingnan mo lahat ng anggulo na pwede mong i-consider on the training you wish to conduct. Thank you, Ms. Christine. That was an informative one. I hope you gained knowledge from that clip. But for now, let's take a short commercial to break the ice for a while.
We call off the circus, let's go down. We send home the horses, the radio clowns. I'm still on a tightrope, I'm still trying to get you laughing at me.
And I am back, and you're still watching the Social Work Community Table. I'm wondering right now, why not also ask our classmates from BSSW3B if there's anything else we should know? So for more information on the components of training designs, we have Ms. Cami Pilak here to impart knowledge about collaboration and expected outcomes, followed by Ms. Erica J. Cahayon, who will discuss and emphasize the awareness of learning styles and learning strategy in the training. The last but not the least, Ms. Catherine Faye Domingo, who will discuss the facilitation of learning versus pure instruction and active participation. Please give them a massive round of applause.
Collaboration. Each member of the training development team brings valuable knowledge and experience to our group. So sa pag-create ng design ng training program or ng training program design, it requires collaborative effort ng bawat team members to ensure na lahat ng participants or ng community ay magbe-benefit talaga sa training. Also, para maging remarkable yung training program na hinahanda nyo para sa isang community. So as a team member, we must pool our knowledge. Pool, it means pagsamasamahin yung mga ideas ng bawat isa. So para makapag-create tayo ng design na exemplary training experience sa community. Sabi nga nila, we can learn from each other. So next is starting with the end in mind or background design. According to Stephen Covey, sa isa sa best-selling book niya na The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, to begin with the end in mind means to start with a clear understanding of your destination. So, ibig sabihin, alamin mo muna kung saan mo gustong pumunta para mas maging aware ka kung nasaan ka na ba ngayon or anong estado mo na para ma-achieve mo or mapuntahan mo yung gusto mong mapuntahan. And also, para alam mo na rin yung steps kung naka-align ba dun sa intended outcomes na gusto mo. So, in applying this approach sa pag-design ng training program, means alamin mo muna kung saan mo gusto mag-end up yung project na bubuuin mo para sa target focus population mo. Gusto mo bang at the end of your program, tumaas yung level of awareness ng community na kaya pala nilang matugunan yung needs ng mga tao by strengthening the community. So that this keeps you in a clear path without veering off into fruitless time-wasting direction. So may components ang background design. First is to identify desired result. Isang advantage ng thinking from the end to beginning is that may i-structure mo yung design based doon sa gusto mong outcome. Ask yourself, ano ba yung ma-achieve ng population na to upon completion of this training program? Paano ba makaka-help yung program na binubuo para sa welfare ng target population ko? And also, para maiwasan din yung too much information na maibibigay din sa participants na hindi naman nila totally kailangan, diba? The second one is determining acceptable evidence. So, when you begin with expectation in mind, makaka-construct ka na or alam mo na yung objective ng training program to facilitate the accomplishment of those expectations. So, pwede mo na itong gawing guide for developing your content. And lastly, planning the learning experience and instruction. With clearly defined objective, you can now begin designing your training program. Dito confident ka na yung steps na gagawin mo or yung magiging content ng program mo is talagang magiging beneficial doon sa target population mo.
Another component of training design is the awareness of learning style. Everyone has their own style of learning that he or she is most comfortable with. So tayo mga trainers, dapat alam natin ang pagkakaiba-iba ng mga training style na ito upang mas maintindihan natin yung mga participants natin. Kaya dapat mag-ready tayo ng mga kakailanganin ng ating mga participants para makasabay sila sa ating community training. Because the greatest approach for you to learn is through your personal learning style. Meron tayong tatlong learning style. Ang auditory style, ang visual learning style, and kinesthetic learning style. First, the auditory learning style. Participants who prefer auditory learning style will concentrate on hearing rather than seeing visual or attempt physical activities. So, mas prefer nila yung nakikinig sila kaysa nakikita nila yung presentation ng trainers. So, tayong mga trainers, dapat handa tayong magpaliwanag sa kanila ng maayos, malinaw, at tama sa kanilang pandinig. Para nang sa ganon ay naiintindihan nila ang ating mga discussions. Characteristic of auditory learners: strong listening skills. Matalas ang pakikinig nila, kaya madali na lang sa kanila ang umintindi ng mga bagay-bagay sa pamamagitan lamang ng pakikinig. Good memory for spoken information. Madali na lang sa kanila din na magmemorya ng mga impormasyon sa pamamagitan din lang ng pakikinig. Unafraid to voice their thought. So sila naman yung tipo ng mga participant na hindi natatakot magtanong ng mga bagay-bagay sa mga trainers. So dapat tayong mga trainers, handa rin tayong sagutin ng maayos ang kanilang mga katanungan nang sa ganun ay makasabay sila sa ating mga discussions. Solid communication abilities. Sila din yung tipo ng tao na maayos makipag-usap. Enjoy conversation. Masaya sila sa paggawa ng mga conversation sa iba't ibang tao dahil dito sila natututo. Second, visual learning style. Reading or viewing image is how you learn if you are a visual learner. You learn and retain information visually. You will learn best when employing approach that are most visual since you can mentally envision what you are learning. Kaya dapat tayo mga trainers ay maganda ng mga visual aids kahit sa tarpaulina lang or kahit saan na pwede na tayo magsulat nang sa ganun ay makikita nila o mababasa nila ang ating mga discussion or video presentation na konektado sa ating topic, PPT, nang sa ganun ay catch up sila sa ating mga discussion. Isa pang way para ma-acknowledge natin ang ating mga visual learners ay ang pag-aayos mismo ng ating seating arrangement. Nang nasa likod sila at malayo sa ating visual presentation, ay makikita pa rin nila ito at mababasa ng maayos. Characteristic of visual learners: well-organized, good speller, remember better,
by seeing a chart or a diagram, concentrate well, need to see direction, not hear them. Hindi kasi siya katulad ng auditory na kanina is mas naiintindihan niya ang mga informasyon o direction sa pamamagitan ng pakikinig. Sila mas prefer nila yung nababasa nila at nakikita nila ang direction. Dahil doon, mas naiintindihan nila ito. Good handwriting, good memory for faces but not names. Dahil nga mas prefer nila yung nakikita nila, mas madali nilang natatandaan yung mukha ng nakakausap nila kaysa yung pangalan. Third, kinesthetic learning style. Kinesthetic learners prefer to actively participate in learning activities compared to passively listening to lectures or viewing demonstration. Because of this, getting a hands-on experience with the material is greatest way to understand it. So sila yung tipo ng mga participant na mas gusto na ma-experience hands-on yung activity para maintindihan nila ito. Kaya tayong mga trainers ay maghanda ng mga physical activity na konektado sa ating topic nang sa ganun ay makasabay sila at mas maintindihan nila yung ating mga discussion. Characteristic of kinesthetic learner. Learn through movement, enjoy sports and physical activity. So much better talaga na mag-ready ang ating mga trainer ng mga palaro na konektado sa topic para makasabay ang ating mga participants. Love trying new things, tend to trust what they can experience or perform. Hindi sila naniniwala agad sa mga naririnig lang nila. Mas gusto talaga nila na may experience nila yung mga bagay-bagay para mas naiintindihan nila ito. Tend to gesture while speaking. So sila yung tipo ng mga participants na mas na-express nila yung sarili nila sa pagpapaliwanag kung kumikilos sila gamit ang kamay, paa, o kahit ano man yan na mas komportable sila. Think more clearly when able to move. So, napapansin nyo sa ating mga trainees na mas nakakapag-isip sila ng maayos kung meron silang ginagawa. Like, nagtatap ng ballpen or nag-gesture ng ganito sa ulo or ganito or kahit anong movement na mas komportable sila para makapag-isip. There are no right or wrong way to learn. What matters is that each participant understand their own best way to learn quickly. Ang importante rin ay aware ang mga trainers sa mga ganitong klaseng participant para nang sa ganun ay makapag-prepare tayo ng mga materials o mga kakailanganin pang iba na magagamit natin sa community training. Moving on onto the knowledge of teamwork and individual performance. Trainers must be aware of some participants learn better as part of a team, while others learns best by working individually. Many trainees derive energy for being around other people and looking forward to learning and discussing materials with the group. Having a group work will also make the trainees more accountable. Dapat din ma-acknowledge ng mga trainers na may mga trainees na hindi kaya mag-work individually at ang kaya lang nilang gawin ay mag-work as a team. Dapat maintindihan ito ng ating mga trainers dahil yun lang yung way para makapag-participate yung mga trainees na hindi kaya mag-work individually. In other hand, there are some trainees wants to work alone. Mas nakakapag-focus sila at natututo nang mag-isa lang sila. Nagiging mas produktibo sila at nakakapag-concentrate ng maayos sa mga ginagawa nila. And one more thing, walang quarrel na magaganap sa mga ginagawa niya dahil siya lang mag-isa. Importante talaga na aware ang ating mga trainers sa mga ganitong klaseng style ng learning para nang sa ganon ay mahikayat nila ang kanilang mga participant na mag-participate sa kanilang mga activities sa community training. And para naman sa ating mga trainees, importante rin na malaman nyo kung saan ba yung prefer yung part, kung sa teamwork ba or sa individual. Dahil knowing your strength will help you do your part more quickly and effectively. Use of variety of learning strategies. By providing a variety of learning strategies such as small group activities, hands-on activities, and materials for individual review, we are supporting the various way in which our participants learns best. As I mentioned earlier, it is necessary for trainers to identify the learning style strategies right away in order to use it as a way of understanding for our participants. Malaking tulong itong mga variety style of learning sa mga trainers na mag-uumpisa pa lang gumawa ng activity training sa community. Dahil dito ay mas naging aware na sila na may mga differences ang mga participants. In a way, kung ano ba yung learning strategies or techniques na gagawin natin para makasabay sila sa ating mga dinidiscuss na topic.
So next is facilitating of learning versus peer instruction. There is a difference between facilitating and instructing, and it is important to remember the difference. And also, it is important to know when to facilitate and when to instruct. Peer instruction is that really a content expert, and they are there to deliver content, and the learners are quite passive in this process. While facilitator is there to manage a discussion or draw information out of the learners who are active in this process. However, Hagen 2002 defined facilitation as bringing out and focusing the wisdom of the group, often as a group creates something new or solve a problem. So, to connect it to the community education and training, facilitators of learning in the community should bring out the learners or the people in the community's efforts to self-learn. It is an act of helping other people to deal with the process or reach an agreement or solution without getting directly involved in the process or discussion. So the example of your instruction is that if you are a community organizer and you see to the community that there is an existing problem, you will talk to the people in that community and ask them how to solve the problem by providing them a solution. Like if they need a financial assistance, you will giving them instruction how to get that assistance. And as a community organizer, you are not looking to the people to provide solution, but you will provide it. And you can keep them engaged by asking them to follow along with the demonstration you are given and ask them how to solve a problem or how to get that financial assistance. But if you are facilitating them as a community organizer, you are looking for the people to provide solution. And you need to be skilled at drawing out information from the people in that community by asking a right question. And it's still important to the facilitator to have content knowledge so they can steer a discussion. But focus is not on what facilitators know. It is on what the people in the community think. That's why the individual guiding the training session need to be a facilitator on learning rather than the didactic instruction, because individual will quickly lose their interest. But this is not to say that you cannot provide engaging learning when you are instructing. You are just engaging with the learners in a different way. But still, we have that confusion on what we should act in the community training, if we are going to facilitate them or instructing them. But of course, sometimes we need to act as a both, delivering some content and then acting as a facilitator, build upon the content that we have to deliver. So next is active participation. So, promoting active participation in training workshop and webinars can keep participants focused and interested in the information presented. So, how can we encourage our participants to be active in our training ba? Well, when participants are given an opportunity to ask questions, to share experiences, and here are some ways to encourage participants to actively participate in the training. First, we have the all or nothing method. And this method are sometimes effective to other work and doesn't work in the others. So, ang gagawin dito is that before mag-start ng isang training, may kakausapin kang ilan sa mga participants mo to have an advanced study regarding the topic na tatalakayin pagdating ng webinar. So that, kapag nagtanong ka is merong magre-raise ng hand. So, in this way, ma-encourage ang ibang participants na mag-participate kasi nakikita nila na ang iba nilang mga kasama ay nagre-raise ng mga ideas and opinions during the training. Second is make it interactive. So, interactive participation is where you want to be for community activation. It means you're giving the people the space they need to make decision, or you are giving the community the tools that they need to make decision on their own. With interactive participation, people don't feel like they need your permission to make discussion that will affect the community as a whole. Pangatlo is tell them why. So dito, kinakailangan mong sabihin why they are going through training. Kahit na hindi naman necessary talaga na sabihin mo kung bakit kinakailangan nila pumunta sa training, this is also a strategy to make them participate. Kasi kapag nalaman nila kung para saan yung training, kung anong nagagawa ng training, is ma-encourage sila to participate kasi malalaman or masasabi nila na sa sarili nila na this training will benefit them. 4 naman is limit lecture or discussion. So dito, alam naman natin na kapag masyadong madaming dinidiscuss or masyadong mahaba ang isang lecture is nakakatamad, nakakaubos ito ng energy. It feels like a hug waste of time and it is boring for everyone. And of course, lecture are always going to be part of the training. That's why lecture are still exist everywhere. But we have to pick and choose what we want to lecture. But piliin lang natin kung ano ba yung mga necessary information na dapat ilagay or dapat ipaalam sa kanila para naman hindi masyadong mahaba ang isang discussion. Kasi kapag mahaba ang discussion is parang nawawala na sila ng ganang makinig. That's why may malalas yung participation during the training. Next is the gamify it. So ang tanong, kinakailangan ba na magkaroon ng palaro in every training na ating gagawin? Well, absolutely not. But we can have games to at least to relax. Para naman hindi sila na-information overload kasi nga naman nakakapagod nga naman kung puro lecture lang, kung puro pakikinig lang sa isang training. Pwede naman tayo magpalaro during the training. But let's make sure na ang mga palaro natin is may connection pa rin sa training na ating sinasagawa. In this way, makakapag-relax naman ang ating participants. Let's make the training informative yet enjoyable. So that are some ways to encourage our participants to actively participate during our training.
Now, let's go on to our next segment, which is the Social Work Community Table Plus. We have our amazing special guest today who will be joining us here in the studio. When I say amazing, I mean it. What is special about these people is that they are action taker. They are living proof that the distance between you and the profession you want depends on the amount of action you take. As you listen to their discussion, you'll note that at different stages of their life as practitioners, they said yes even before they knew how, and it paid off. Today, they will be sharing their expertise and knowledge to help us design training in community context. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our newly registered social workers, Ms. Marsornet Cese, Ms. Kame Pilak, Ms. Charming Joy Jimeno, Ms. Mikey Paz, Mr. Carl Andy Sotelo, and Ms. Brenda Villaflores. We also have Ms. Norian Moliena, Ms. Karen Arellano, Ms. Christine Jane Tirone, Ms. Luella Silestra, Ms. Florian Dibal, and last but not the least, Ms. Marjorie Norshaw, as they will discuss the preparation of training design. Roll VDR!
In rational, it is an argument in favor of implementing the proposed training by your group. It gives a detailed explanation of why the training is needed. So dito sa rational, basically ang point lang nito, yung explanation kung bakit kinakailangan yung training na isasagawa ng grupo nyo. So why is it relevant in the community? In terms of participants, ano yung mabe-benefit nila sa training program na yan? And ano yung mabe-benefit nyo from them? So here in rational, mahalaga na dapat maipaliwanag kung bakit kailangan isagawa ang training program ng grupo nyo. Another definition, it describes the issues, problems, and needs of your target participants as the reason why you are in need of conducting the training. Sa pag-implement ng program, hindi naman pwede yung basta-basta na lang tayong magplano without thinking critically and being considerate, di ba? If that's the case, would your program training be successful? No, kasi hindi pinag-isipan ng mabuti. Walang urgency, hindi kinonsider yung issues and problems in the community and yung needs ng target participants. Before conducting a training program, those factors being mentioned should be initially considered because that is what the rational is all about. So dapat may focus at dapat naipapaliwanag at naipapakita yung relevance ng training program. Also, dapat nakapaloob din sa rational nyo yung background or introduction kung patungkol saan yung training program, yung pagpapaliwanag sa mga needs na eventually ma-address ng training program, and yung overview sa kung paano yung process. Like, paano ba ma-meet yung goals? Paano ba ma-address yung gaps? So, dapat masasagot yan in your rational. We have here an example. It is a training proposal entitled Basic Skills Training Course for Barangay Nutrition Scholars, and its rationale says, to hone their skills as nutrition frontline workers, 11 barangay nutrition scholars from the 9 barangays of the municipality of San Rafael will be engaged in the 3-day basic skills training sponsored by the San Rafael Municipal Health Office. As soon as they become full-fledged BNS, they will be able to help the Municipal Health Office in bringing much-needed services such as Operation Timbang to the grassroots. From their rationale, pinakita doon yung benefits na matatanggap ng participants, which is the improvement of their skills, and yung benefits ng participants to them, which is makakatulong sila sa Municipal Health Office. So ano yung relevance nito? The relevance of this are the benefits that both parties would receive. They would work with each other for a good cause, and most importantly, by doing so, it would be a great help as they would eventually bring a much-needed services to the ordinary people in the society.
This is where you will put your objective or end goals of your training. Remember that it should be smart and it will address the needs of the participant that you identify. So ang goal ay isa siyang aspirational statement that describes kung ano ba yung gusto mong ma-achieve. It is a broad, future-oriented statement that describes expected effect. Ang objective naman is yung details papakita kung paano mo ma-achieve yung goal. A SMART objective is one that is specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. To fully understand the SMART objective, let's elaborate. So S stands for specific. Specific objectives are precise, tumpak, use plain language na mas madaling intindihin nung babasa ng training design nyo, and use verbs that document action. Sa specific objective ay ma-identify mo na agad sino ba yung target population nito, sino ba yung maapektuhan nito. Ma-identify mo na dito kung ano ba yung gustong maging effect ng program doon sa focus population. So M stands for measurable. So, ibig sabihin, achievable siya in time frame or possible talaga na ma-achieve yung goal. Baka kasi sa sobrang gustong makahelp sa community, sa target population is na-overwhelm na yung objective. Hindi na siya possible ma-achieve, hindi na siya kakayanin na ma-achieve doon sa allotted time lang ng training program. So, A stands for achievable or attainable. It means objective should be within reach for your partners, targeted population, and dapat kinukonsider din dito yung availability of resources, knowledge, and of course, time. Dapat isipin natin yung objective is talagang ma-accomplish natin within the training. Hindi kasi pwedeng out of the context or kaya naman hindi tugma dun sa gagawin sa training. So R stands for relevant or realistic. It means objective aligned with a corresponding goal and doon sa mission vision ng program. Like, ito yung needs ng community. Kaya ito yung objective ng program. Relevant siya doon sa needs. Relevant siya doon sa focus populations. Hindi siya pwedeng out of the box. So, next is T stands for time-bound. Ibig sabihin, ito yung ay napapanahon. Ma-achieve mo yung objective mo within the training. But not too far. Ibig sabihin, give enough time to demonstrate success and do not encourage procrastination. So this is one of the example ng SMART objective na sinasabi ko. So as you can see, na yung objective po ay hindi lamang nagsisimula sa to be able, to learn. Kaya mas maging creative tayo sa pag-construct ng objective natin.
Budgetary requirements. It is an itemized summary of the expected expenditure of the training that will be conducted by the organizers over a specified period of time. Ang budgetary requirements, ito po ay ang kompletong listahan ng mga items na gagamitin sa pagkandak ng training. So kapag may implement tayo na training, kailangan nating tingnan ang cost and involvement ng pera dun sa gagawing training. Ang pagbabudget ay isang halagang skill na dapat matutunan. Kailangan nating maging practical pagdating sa pagbabudget. For example, sa option or training 1, ang estimated budget natin is 50,000 pesos. Ayos yung budget kasi mabibili at mapaprovide natin sa kanila ang lahat ng mga kakailanganin nila sa gagawing training. Magbe-benefit ito sa mga participants pero maaaring maraming masayang kung uubusin lang ito sa mga items na hindi naman pinagplanuhang bilhin. Halimbawa, bumili ka ng 20 pieces na pentel pen pero ang participants mo ay 10 lang, imbis na magamit natin ito sa ibang bagay na mas importante, nag-spend tayo ng pera na wala naman sa budget. Sa pangalawang pangalawang option or training 2 naman, kailangan natin maging practical, kaya ang bibilhin lang natin ay yung mga kailangan at sakto lang sa mga participants. Importante na magkaroon ng list ng mga bibilhin o magagastos dahil bukod sa makakatipid ka na, makakasave ka pa ng pera. Mura man ang mga items, kung pareho naman ng kaalaman na matututunan sa option 1 and 2, mas beneficial pa din ang option 2. I will explain this table to us so we understand how financial estimates work. We have the list of expenses, which is ito po yung major needs sa pagkakonduct ng training. For list number 1, we have teaching materials, next are food items, accommodations for trainers, and lastly, the honorarium for trainers. Next, we have the list of details, which is ito naman po yung mga items na major needs natin. For example, for teaching materials, we have 1 roll Manila paper, 1 ream short bond paper, and 1 pack stickers paper. Next, we have the list of amounts. Ito naman po ay yung prices ng bawat items na bibilhin natin. Kailangan din po ito para malaman natin ang total ng lahat ng magagastos natin. Ito po ay isang magandang halimbawa sa pagpaplano o pagbabudget ng mga items na bibilhin o gagastusin sa pagkakonduct ng training. Katulad nga po ng sinabi ko kanina, yung kailangan at sakto lang.
Program of activities. It is the flow or program of training. It also includes the names of individual who took part in the program or training day. It is essential to have a well-planned program flow when carrying out program activities because it makes the activity organized, has a smooth flow, reduces interruptions, and can be very beneficial to the success and effectiveness of training. Here I have an example of the flow of a scope program. As you can see in the table, it shows the time, activity, and the person in charge. Time talks about when the designated person does his or her part in the program. Activities assign tasks needed to execute by the person in charge. Committee in charge, a person who's allocated to the given activity. Those are indicated in the program flow. The program success relies on those important parts. So before doing such a program or training, you must have a program flow.
So now, jump tayo dito sa training methodologies. Ano-ano nga ba yung mga iba't ibang methods on how to conduct the training? Before I proceed to those methods, let me first explain what is training methods. The training methodologies, these are the techniques and tools na ginagamit to teach yung mga necessary skills, knowledge na dapat ma-acquire ni participants sa training to ensure na ma-achieve yung mga training objectives, syempre, and also to ensure din yung na ma-improve yung performance competency ng isang individual. It can also use to improve yung situation ng community or ma-meet yung mga needed skills for them to perform fully equipped dun sa mga respective roles ng mga individuals after the training. Punta naman tayo dito sa mga methods na ginagamit sa pag-conduct ng training. Yung una is project management. Project requires the trainees to do something on the job, which improves the community as well as to help them learn about the topic of training. Yung sumunod naman ay computer-based training. Here, the content is provided through videotape or computer-based program. Or shall we say, it is e-learning due to new normal. All those training and seminars ay pwede na i-conduct through web. One best example nito ay yung training and seminars natin last year na in-attendan through web to improve yung mga skills and competency natin as a student. The next is demonstration. It is very effective for basic skills training. It provides an opportunity to perform the task being demonstrated ni trainer para dun sa mga participants. For example, training is about soap making. The participant will not really observing skills on how to make soap kung hindi i-demonstrate yung mga skills na dapat ay matutunan. The simulation. Trainees participate in a reality-based interactive activity where the initiate actions are required on the job. The trainer yung magde-demo ng skills na dapat i-apply, and after that, si participants naman yung mag-perform yung mga skills. In this training, it becomes more reality-based. The last is role-playing. Requires the trainees to assume a character and act out the role in a make-believe scenario or series of scenarios. Learning comes by the way of reflection on the play, but it is not necessary na gamitin kasi we are much likely to have verbal lectures and discussion or actualizations nga ng mga skills compare na si participants ay nanonood lamang. Parang more boring yun sa kanila.
In different methods, we have sensitivity training, lectures, slides, flip charts, and discussion. So first, sensitivity training. Sensitivity training, psychological technique in which intensive group discussion and interaction are used to increase individual awareness of self and others. Sensitivity training is also known as encounter groups and laboratory training. It is headed by a passive leader who maintains a psychologically safe environment so that every member feels safe enough to share his thoughts. Therefore, very important ang sensitivity training. As a trainer, dapat ma-observe natin yung behavioral pattern ng mga participants para malaman natin kung paano natin sila masasagot or ma-handle yung mga katanungan if ever na may mga questions sila. So next naman po is lecture methods. So meron tayong communication skill, creative skills, time management, class management. In lecture method, dapat everything is ready na before tayo mag-lecture and all the skills as a trainer dapat kabisado natin so that the participants will be more interested or more engaging about the topic na tinuturo natin. Like sa communication skill, hindi lang siya basta talking we should also include the eye-to-eye contact as many as way to the participants so that they feel that as a trainer, we are capable and confident on what we are trying to connect with them right. So, in terms of creative skill naman, dito, pinapakita natin yung side natin as a trainer. Yung dali ng tinuturo natin like, for example, I am lecturing about how sad the drama is. It is like yung feeling mo should the same on the setting of the story. About the time management skill, just like the lecture method, as I said earlier, dapat everything is prepared already before tayo mag-lecture. When it comes to class management naman, as a trainer, dapat yung participants natin marunong sumunod or makinig sa atin and in order to facilitate and listen to problem. Dapat mataas yung confident na kaya natin i-handle yung mga participants natin. So next is slides. Here naman, using slide, we can use as many as we can na different types of fonts, graphics, designs, and etc. Very convenient rin kasi nalalagay natin yung picture ng isang bagay na malabo nating makita in person during the training or discussion like things in a museum. Sa flip chart method naman, itong method na ito is very economical siya and no need electricity na rin lalo na kung nasa remote area ang community training. And the last is discussion method. In discussion method, small or big groups, individuals, dito naman as a trainer, dapat active yung mga participants natin. Paano ba natin ma-achieve na maging productive yung discussion natin? Dapat constructive and positive or helpful siya to the participants. Gawin natin na functional by clarifying the goals of each participants. Share some personal experiences kasi gumawa ka ng statements about other people, and we should ask and allow the participants to express their thoughts.
Brainstorming. It is a method for making suggestions and exchanging information in order to discuss a particular issue or solve a particular problem. It is also a method for problem solving that includes the contribution of ideas, and it is a group discussion to generate ideas and address certain issues. The participants of community is able to openly share their ideas and thoughts as soon as they come to mind in this way. Also, because brainstorming is enjoyable, it strengthens team bonds as members work together to find solutions to issues in a dynamic setting. And for our brainstorming session to be successful, participants need to feel comfortable sharing their thoughts without fear of criticism or judgment. All members of the group must also listen and give each idea the consideration it deserves. Case studies. This type of training is great for developing critical thinking, problem solving, and analytical skills. Since the case studies represent real-life situations, as community members interact with each other, they should discover a variety of answers, viewpoints, or analytical techniques. This result is crucial for motivating community members to foster higher levels of learning and critical thinking. Also, it helps participants of community to analyze and resolve challenges and problems, either on their own or in groups. Certain answers might be better than others, and they might even be the greatest choices given the circumstances, depending on the assumptions made. Dramatization. Through drama or role-playing, the members of the community learn to investigate problems, events, and connections. Participants develop a make-believe world through dramatization by using their knowledge and experience of the dramatization also encourages participants of the community to be imaginative, express themselves, and be creative in their problem solving. This provides participants an opportunity to demonstrate what relevant talent they may have. Dramatization helps a person learn how to play and stretch themselves in positive and innovative ways. As kind of an outcome, participants of community express and share their thoughts and understandings in their own unique ways. It helps learners acquire their critical thinking and recognizing skills. Games. We may also use the method of playing games with the participants to make our training session more exciting. Using rewards like points boosts motivation, and this kind of training can make learning enjoyable. Interactive training is very engaging and successful because this will make them like it more. Participants of community take the information in much more easily, remembered as faster, and remembered for a long period of time. And the last is videos. It is easily accessible and repeatable. Participants of community can watch the video as many times as they need. Also, it does not require a mentor. Also, our trainees will all have equal access to the information because we give the training via videos, giving them the option enhance their memory and learning while also serves as a record so they may review it whenever they want to. Pero dapat as a trainers, dapat alam natin kung anong klaseng methods ba yung ibibigay natin depende sa magiging participants natin.
Implement training initiative. In implementation phase, where the training program comes into life, organizations need to decide whether the training will be delivered in face-to-face or in online platform. Program implementation should consider availability of the participants as well as through planning the schedule of the training activities of other related resources like facilitating equipment, creating questionnaires, etc. Training program is an official launch. Promote and conducted. During the training, the participant process should be monitored and ensure that the program is effective. In this stage, community organizers start to give life to the training. As community organizers, we should check and facilitate if your core members is ready to perform the seminars or the training we will conduct. And also, as community organizers, we should hands-on in implementing the training. We should have the plan A, plan C in case na magkaroon ng mga technical errors or problem during the conduct of training. At syempre, yung main focus ng inyong training, which is the participants, if available ba sila that day, and in the day of the training, you should facilitate your participants, assess them and look them if they're focused, kung nakikinig ba sila during the training. If hindi, dapat ready na may some games or something fun na makakapag-relax and makakapag-enjoy sila. Number 2, evaluate and revise training. As mentioned in the last segment, the training program should be continually monitored. In the end, the entire program should be evaluated to determine if it was successful and meet the training objectives. Feedback should be obtained for all the members of the community to determine the program and instructor effectiveness, plus skills and knowledge execution. If you want to be an effective community organizer, the training should be continuous at hindi siya natatapos ng training. Okay na yun. Dapat may naiiwan sa participants, like magkakaroon sila ng ibang knowledge na magkaroon ng another income o mga livelihood program na pwede nilang gamitin. And in that case, makikita sa evaluation and monitoring plan kung gaano maging effective yung program na pinorform mo. There are 3 kinds of constraints that you may encounter in implementing training. Number 1, time. Time is the biggest challenges faced by the community organizer when planning a training project. These are the multiple steps within the development cycle of the training course: assessing learning, needs and identifying objective, design and development and evaluation, and so on. The key to create a word-able timeline is to identify the steps that are necessary and spend more time and effort with it. If the stakeholder is not clear on the needs or objective of the training program, a block of the timeline needs to be spent on assessment. Once the objective has been identified, the design can be done rapidly. Tip 1. To be an effective community organizer, you should have time management. Number 2. Budget. Budgetary concern and constraint also stand in the way cooperative training program, especially in the time market upheavals and financial uncertainty. Tip: one way to deal with budgetary concern for the training development is to assign multiple roles in assisting organizing staff. For one, there are many free resources that can be utilized, from e-learning development tools to elements like graphics, audio, and video. Using this is possible to create training piece that can be utilized for just-in-time training delivered within the budget. Existing learning assets like presentation, image, audio, or video piece that can also be reused in a multiple course to save money. Number 3. Resources. Community organizers should take the availability of resources, both material and human, into consideration. This constraint is typically associated with cost, as the amount of funding for the project usually determines the experience level and the number of the resources available. Additional resources constraints also deal with availability and accessibility. Tip: use available resources within the community or recycle some material.
Finally, there is monitoring and evaluation. When we say monitoring, it refers to a systematic review of the progress of activities and procedures to achieve the expected outcomes of the training. So a good monitoring will track implementation and target achievement. We have here an example of basic monitoring that can be used in pre, during, and post-training. The first one is the inputs. These are the resources needed to ensure that activities take place in the training. For example, in training activities, kailangan natin ng quality materials, skilled trainers, maayos yung physical venue, the logistic needed, and many more. These inputs are the ingredients to make your training run smoothly. So you need to know how to mobilize the resources in your training. The second one is activities, in which we answer the question, what is that? What activities need to take place for each output to happen? So providing participants with highly quality training is one of the activities directly aligned with our output and outcome, such as games, quizzes, role-play, and many more. So activities are crucial dahil ito yung mga actions that we take para i-manage at ma-implement yung training using our resources and to deliver the learnings to our participants. But some of these activities may or may not achieve your outcome, especially kung kulang ka sa resources at hindi na-facilitate ng maayos yung mga activities. Because if your activities are well planned, you will only reach your projected output. So the next is output. So the outputs are the immediate results of our activities. They are the necessary for achieving the outcomes. Think of them as positive indicators that the outcomes are on track. So as per skill development example, one output is the number of youth who increase their knowledge in computer-based training. After we identify the output, there is an outcome of the training. Outcomes are the broader benefits which we work to achieve. In our skill development example, one outcome could be that youth gain employment using the skill they learn. Finally, there is the impact, which is a systemic change that you wish to see or expect in the long term. Impact usually takes a few years to happen, which make it difficult to measure, but it does give us great foundation to define the outcomes that are within our reach to influence and measure. So malalaman mo yung impact ng training sa participants mo through follow-up. You can visit them after weeks or months. So depende yan sa'yo. Kung nagamit ba nila yung learnings and skills na nakuha nila from the training.
Now, let us proceed in evaluation. Evaluation is the last step in training method. This gives trainers an opportunity to go back to the beginning and assess the result of training cycle. Training evaluation is a systematic collection and assessment of information needed to determine if training is effective. Evaluation provides feedback to help you identify if your training achieved your intended outcomes. Itong comprehensive feedback na ito, it helps para ma-identify yung skill gaps to analyze the desired outcomes, makita yung effectiveness in achieving goals and value ng training program. It also helps the trainers to identify issue and improve the overall process of training programs. analyze the effectiveness of training materials and other tools, determine the needed leadership competences to solve critical problems, support continuous change in career development, and last, assess the overall training experience of the participant. Evaluation forms provide plenty of space for questions, comments, and suggestions, and will include an easily understandable rating system. And we have sample here where mayroong personal information of participants like names, gender, and also questions and expectations nila sa ikakonduct na training or about sa topic. And sa paggawa nito, make blank lines after each heading long enough to accommodate long or hyphenated names, katulad ng sample na ito. In evaluation analysis, we can include a description of the numerical rating system to be used when creating an evaluation form. For example, you may decide to use number, like 1 for unsatisfactory rating and 5 for superior work, or using strongly agree, and neutral scale in answering questions like, does the speaker demonstrated in-depth knowledge of the topic, or does the speaker stimulated your interest about the topic? Sa sample here in Table 1 and Table 2, sumasagot yung question in strongly agree or agree. So when you create an evaluation form, they can be as simple or complex as you would like. Again, evaluation forms will make it easier to collect and track evaluation.
To give you an idea of the format of training design, the first is the title of the training, of course. Meron talagang title yan. And the second is learning objectives that we set. As displayed at the top, kung makikita nyo, we may also use Bloom's taxonomy to help us write down our objectives. And in addition, we have here the table that contains the module and session number kung by session yan. Ilalagay mo rin dito yung learning outcomes ng training at anong topic ba yan, because the training occurs in almost every topic you can think of. As the presenters previously said, we must select appropriate training methods and activities for the participants. So I hope you catch up those explanations of the presenters. And also, kailangan din natin ilagay ang optimal training duration. In minutes ba yan? An hour, a day, or a week? So ito naman kasi ay nakadepende sa intensity of the training and the level of skill of the participants. And lastly, we also have assessment. Ginagawa talaga yan. Ina-assess talaga natin yung kabuuan ng training at yung mga nangyari doon. So dito nagkakaroon ng mga expectation setting, clinical needs session, daily reflection sheets, and many more. Ang assessment naman kasi ay hindi lang sa participants ginagawa. Ginagawa din ito doon sa team mo. Naging kamusta ba yung performance niya during the training? Pwede mong sabihin na, ikaw, nahina yung boses mo kanina yung nagbibigay ka ng instructions, baka sa sunod ay pwedeng lakasan mo ito para mas maintindihan ng mga participants. So ito naman ay hindi para i-down ka or i-criticize ka at pansinin yung mga mali mo. Ito ay for what? For room of improvements, para mas ma-improve pa yung performance mo as part of the.
It is said that the documentation is a continuous process nga wherein conducting training program in the community. The documentation happen before, during, and after the training program. Na usually yung end ng training session, doon natin makikita yung result or if may changes ba sa pag-conduct natin ng buong training session sa community na pinagsagawa natin ito. And makikita din natin doon kung if there is a progress na. So, syempre, sa documenting din, kasama din dito yung preparation of conducting a training in the community. So, even the budget na gagamitin for a training program. At kung sino and how many are the participants sa training program na ito. And what are the activities na maaari pang gawin throughout the training session. And saan ba ito gaganapin and so on. So, it is said that the documentation records two aspects of the training program. So, first is the process where we can see here what happened in the training session. We can see here if there is any changes nga ba from the start until the end of training session. Kasi nga, ito yung one of the purpose kung bakit kailangan natin mag-document. Especially kapag professional workers na tayo kasi maaaring maging preferences natin ito or basis at magiging evidence natin ito. Kasi bawat plano sa pagbuo ng training session or program, mahalaga ang bawat detalye na meron ito. So, second is its content. So, what are the important information ba na na-obtain natin from the beginning of the training session until the end of it. Na, yun nga sabi ko, it can be used as basis and evidence that there are the changes and improvements in the training program session na kinandak natin within the community. A documentation scheme should outline the procedure and guidelines by which activity is systematically recorded. So in the field of social work, having a skill in documenting is important for every social worker, especially sa ating mga future social worker, to follow the outline of the procedures and guidelines ng pagdodocument to orderly record the important information na pwede nating makalap or mailagay sa ating paper. So, even yung important event na isinasagawa ng bawat professional workers na katulad nga ng community training session, community training program, yung mga ganyan. And katulad nga ng sinasabi ko kanina that documentation happened before, during, and after the said training program session in the community. So, we can use the document we have as an evidence nga, diba? So, through documentation, maaari natin malaman if there is a progress nga ba sa situation ng community na ating pinagsagawa ng training program session. Kung may pagbabago ba sa kilos or behavior ng participants na meron tayo sa training session na to. Kasi nga nowadays, sinasabi nga ng karamihan na without documentation, it means nothing. So, that's why as professional workers or a future social worker, you should know the importance of or value of the recording, the step-by-step procedures and guidelines of documenting kasi nga bawat detalye doon sa training session na meron na tayo na isinagawa sa community, mahalaga yon. So, syempre ginagawa natin yung documentation para sa better result nito, and gumagawa din kasi tayo nito for recording the fact na nangyari yon in real life. Data collection method for documentation. First is observation. So through observation, we can get information because they say that the observation of an individual is powerful because without personally asking the person or the participants, we can gain information or we can have an idea if what kind of people ba sila or what problems are the participants facing off based on sa behaviors nila or kung paano sila mag-act or deal with someone. Or even the community, makikita ng isang social worker kung ano yung kalagayan ng isang community based on sa visible situation na nakikita nila throughout the day. So, second is interview or semi-structured with basic information. So, it's a way of getting information then. So, karaniwan, madalas yung surveys yung example ng interview method na to kung saan nakakuha tayo ng information from our participants where we can directly ask questions or personally obtain important information from them or even from people who are with us when we conduct a training session within the community. So third is a focus group discussion. So the focus group discussion is a gathering of information in a group of people from similar backgrounds or experiences who come together to discuss a specific topic of interest. So it is a form of qualitative research where the questions are asked about their perceptions, kung anong ba yung pananaw nila, kung ano ba yung thoughts nila, kung ano ba yung paniniwala or opinions or ideas na meron sila. So example of this is giving them chances to share their opinion, share their experiences, share their thoughts when it comes sa problems na kinakaharap nila. And as a social worker or a practitioner, through training session na or training programs na sinasagawa is makakuha tayo ng idea of what better intervention or programs na maibibigay natin dun sa mga participants na to so that we can focus more on what is the biggest problem na kinakaharap nila within the community. So, last is analysis of secondary data. So, secondary data is the data that is not collected or created by a researcher himself. We may take a basis in documenting data collection, which is also important as a social worker. You are also reviewing information relevant to your study galing sa ibang opinions or galing sa ibang nag-base tayo sa ibang mapagpupunan natin ng ideya. So that is why in documenting, it is important to also cite references kasi nga kumuha tayo ng ideya dun sa ibang tao that we have source in that we use as a source of information.
Research. A. Social analysis, a systematic way of gathering data or information with participation of participants to the program or project being documented. Ang social analysis ay isa daw itong sistematikong paraan ng pangangalat ng data or information sa mga participants na may mga kalahok sa isang program or proyekto na i-document. Halimbawa nga dito yung isang community study, isang community, yung mga leader, doon sila na kumukuha ng information or nangangalat ng information sa isang program na kung saan may mga participants na andun. B. Process documentation research, a process which provides continuous information about the programs and activities in the community or organization, and data becomes the source of identifying strategies, policy direction, and reorientation of programs to fit target client. Ang process documentation research is a process na nagbibigay ng tuloy-tuloy na informasyon tungkol sa mga programs and activities sa isang community or organization ng mga leaders. And also, this data becomes the source of identifying strategies, policies, direction, and reorientation ng mga programs na angkop sa mga target ng kanilang client. Halimbawa, program evaluation study or training program design. Post-training activities. A. Terminal report. The report that accounts for the entire conduct of the training program essentially. It includes the documentation result on a day-to-day basis, recounting the process to the content and relevant appendices such as course design, list of participants, and evaluation results. Sinasabi na ang terminal report ay isang account na importante sa isang training activities dahil pinapakita kung ano ang ginagawa nila araw-araw sa isang community or dinodocument nila yung mga participants na kung meron bang changes na nangyayari sa ginawa nilang activities para sa mga participants nila. Dahil din dito, malalaman nila kung ano pa yung pwede nilang gawin na pwede sa mga participants na nakakatulong para sa kanila. And then, post-training monitoring and evaluation activity conducted after the training to determine and assist changes on the job behaviors as result of the training. Post-training monitoring and evaluation, ito yung isang program na kung saan sinusuri or inaalam nila kung mayroong changes sa mga pag-uugali sa isang trabaho or na kanilang mga participants na upang malaman nila yung result ng kanilang training. Dahil kapag na alam na nila kung ano yung mga changes, may possible na may bad or negative. So, bali, yung bad niya, gagawa pa sila ng ibang way para mapaganda yung kanilang training para sa mga participants sa isang community.
This discussion provided us with a wealth of knowledge. I think my brain cells are bloated right now because we learned so much today. Thank you to these incredible registered social workers. It was a pleasure to have you all here today. The clock is ticking and we will witness our final but not least segment for today, when the social work community table returns.
Hence, nowadays, training is not enough to ensure implementation. Creating guidelines is also necessary. Last week, we invited community organizers who have expertise providing training in the community. And guess what? They say yes to our request to provide their best pitching advice to make your training successful. Without further ado, please accept my warmest greetings, Ms. Janet Roldan, Mr. J.B. Benito, and Ms. Ana Marie Harger.
Implementing guidelines. When you say guidelines, ito yung dapat tandaan or dapat i-consider natin kapag nag-implement tayo ng training. First, the trainer needs to be mentally prepared. Kapag sinabing mentally prepared, prepared ba siya by mentally? Ito yung pag-iisip ng isang trainer. Stress ba siya or hindi siya stress? Okay ba yung mga thoughts niya or mga ideas? And very positive ba siya? Second, arranging the physical environment. Kapag sinabing physical environment, ito yung venue or area. Unang-una dito yung trainers. Pangalawa, venue or area na pagsasagawan ng physical environment. Ito po yung mga guidelines na dapat tandaan kapag gumagawa tayo ng training.
The next is greeting participant and establishing rapport to get the best from 30 minutes. The trainer must encourage informal discussion. Remember the first name of the participants, pair them up, and get comfortable with one another. Additionally, as a trainer, you must attentively listen to trainees, comments, and thoughts. Arrive at the place before the participant started training at the planned time. utilize examples, and modify the learning technique. Finally, the trainer should be prepared to change to an alternative strategy if the one they have selected seems not effective.
What is reviewing the agenda? From the word review itself, it is an examination of something with the intention of changing if it is necessary. And I do believe that it could be applied even before and after the program should be conducted. Why? Reviewing the agenda is very important. It is very important that we review the program objectives. It is to specify how program goals will be achieved and to make sure that the participants are well informed of what is the goal of the program and what they could gain in the program. It is also making sure that the program will run smoothly and to understand how the program will run. And by conducting the review after the program is conducted, it is where the season which the team is gathered to reflect back on the things that went well and as well as what they could improve toward the future.
I have nothing to say about the discussion of our community organizers about the implementation guidelines. It's really beneficial to all the trainers out there that implement their training in the community. And I'm confident that the viewers will benefit from it as well. Oops, wait a minute. We have a bonus segment for you because you stayed with us until the end. This is the trivia for today. Did you know that TESDA and DSWD collaborate on the Cash for Training program or the C4TV to provide employment facilitation services and entrepreneurship assistance to the youth sector? For the benefit of the doubt, may I call Ms. Margie Norsho, a graduate beneficiary of this training program, and she will provide us with information about C4TV.
TESDA and DSWD Cash for Training Program o tinatawag na C4TV. This is a project implemented in 2012. It aims to deliver training programs for the youth for gainful employment. Ibig sabihin, ang layunin ng project na ito ay sanay na uturuan ang mga kabataan na makakuha ng trabaho na nais nila or gusto nila or should I say, interes sa training na iyon. Also, they have a 3 modes. First, on-site training, doon sila mismo nagtitrain sa site na iyon. Second, school service training, sa school sila mismo nagsasanay. 3, NGO partnerships training. And then, ang 3 mode na ito ay, ito yung nakikipagtulungan upang maging maayos o maging maganda ang isang program para sa mga kabataan. Dahil sa pamamagitan ng 3 modes, mas mapapwede sila makakakuha ng kaalaman sa training na iyon.
Thank you, Ms. Margie, for giving us knowledge on this kind of support from government exists. As we come to an end, we have here our broadcastmate, Ms. Junalie Makiling, who will update us on how this training helps the youth sector to enhance their knowledge and skills. Ms. Junalie Makiling, kindly update our viewers.
Christine, kasunod ng pagsanib puwersa ng Department of Social Welfare and Development at ang TESDA para sa Cash Training Project, ang mga kabataang beneficiaries nito ay lubos ang pasasalamat dahil napakalaking tulong ito para sa kanila.
Sa hinahangad ng gobyerno na may angat ang mga Pilipino at maramdaman ang paglago na ekonomiya ng bansa, ang Department of Social Welfare and Development o DSWD at ang TESDA ay nagkaisa sa pagbuo ng isang sustainable project na naglalayong mapalakas ang mga sektor ng kabataan sa pamamagitan ng skills training. Isa na rito ang Cash for Training Project, isa lamang sa mga darating pa na partnership project ng DSWD at ang TESDA na inilunsad sa pakikipagtulungan na rin ng mga local government units at mga training providers. Layunin ng proyekto ang magkaroon ng kahandaan ang mga kabataang Pilipino na hindi nakapag-aral o hindi nagtapos sa kolehiyo o kaya ang mga kabataang nakapagtapos ng pag-aaral ngunit walang mapasukang trabaho o negosyo dahil na rin sa kawalan ng oportunidad sa kanilang lugar. Maraming mga kwalifikasyon na pwedeng matutunan ng mga beneficiaries sa loob ng maikling panahon. Kabilang na dito ang driving, automotive, computer hardware servicing, community-based cooking at shielded metal arc welding. Ang training ay isinagawa ng TESDA sa pamamagitan ng kanyang mga authorized provider na malapit sa target communities. Upang ito'y mas lalo pang mapalapit ng gobyerno ang mga ganitong uri ng serbisyo sa mga kabataang mahihirap na sa gayon ay maging parte sila sa pagbuo ng maunlad na pamayanan. Malaki ang pasasalamat ng mga beneficiaries ng proyekto sa ganitong programa ng gobyerno dahil kahit papaano ay unti-unting nagkakaroon ng direksyon ang kanilang buhay. Ang hiling nila sa gobyerno na magpatuloy pa ang mga ganitong proyekto upang marami pang tulad nila ang magkaroon ng pagbabago dahil para sa kanila, isa itong katuparan sa pangarap ng bawat Pilipino.
Our segments today are incredibly high level, and they truly provide viewers with take-home knowledge that designing a training is a lot of hard work to everyone involved. Therefore, as future social workers, we need to be well equipped with knowledge and skills to become generally social workers. It means that we are capable of working in a variety of situations, and one of those situations is in the community. It's our job to assess the needs of the community and provide solutions to their problems to empower them and make the community function. Designing outstanding training and using all the wisdom and skills of our group has earned its time well spent. Oftentimes too, the training will have a domino effect and eventually reach people we hadn't even thought of. However, it can also be one of the most rewarding things that our team does because we get there to see immediately the changes we have made and what participants have learned. And in the end, that's really what it's all about. With that, we would like to thank everyone for joining us here today. Thank you for tuning in, the Social Work Community Table. Have a great weekend and we'll see you on the next Sunday. Bye!